All right, what's up, everybody? We're back. And we're going to do the options menu today, or we're going to start it at least. I'm not sure if this is going to be a two-part or if I'm going to fit it all in one part. So I'm just going to show a couple options in there. You can feel free to do whatever you want. After you see how this is done, you should be able to go in and do whatever you want to do. So if you want to break up individual graphic settings, you should be able to do that. I'm just going to kind of do like a basic low, medium, high, ultra graphic setting, VSync on off resolution. Like I'm just going to do that stuff. And then from that, you should be able to take it and do whatever you want to do. So we're going to jump in. I'm going to make a new widget. So user interface widget blueprint, user widget, and this will be WBP options. I might just do the design in this first part and then we can hook everything up in the next video, but we'll see. I'm going to throw a canvas panel down first. And after that, we're going to throw an image down. And I just took another screenshot from my game that I'm just going to be using. So we're going to do 1920 by 1080. And I'm going to just pick this other image and we're going to pop it in there under brush. So you may not want to use an image. You can change this, set it up however you want. That really doesn't matter. We're just going to be putting everything on the canvas panel. Okay, so after we have our image down, I'm going to look for text, because we're going to want to name this menu here. So I'm going to go into the text. We're going to just say, I'll just say video options. And we'll drag that kind of in the center on the top here. See how big we want it. Do something like that maybe. I'm just going to try and do this quick. Yeah, I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to go into the anchor, shift control, and click the top center anchor. And then I'm just going to drag it down a bit here. Might change the color a little, make it match some of my other stuff. Give it maybe two outlines of white, maybe. Something like that. Doesn't really matter. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to put a back button on this, because we're going to be accessing this from our main menu, and I want to access this from the pause menu as well, because we may be wanting to change settings in-game, or we might want to set them up before we go in. So we're going to have a back button that's going to, from our main menu, we'll go into options, then back obviously brings us back to our main menu. And if we're paused, then back will take us back to our pause menu. I'm just going to throw a button in here. Okay, so I'm going to drop the back button on the canvas panel. And then we're going to drop some text on the button. So we're going to look for text again. Get text, drop it on the button. Now, before I forget, I'm just going to go into text, set the visibility to non-hit testable, just so it doesn't interfere with our button at all. And we might as well label that while we're in here. So that's going to be back. We'll select our button, bring it down here so we can see it. Now, since this isn't going to be in any sort of a box or anything, we can just make it however big we want here. So I'm probably just going to do something like this. And I'm just going to set it up close to how I set the other ones up. So I'm not really going to like copy the colors or anything. We're just going to do this. So I think I had an outline of 325, 25. I think that's pretty much what I did. And we'll set up our hovered. So I'm just setting this up the same way that I set up the other buttons, or as close to it as I can. And I'm going to set the sounds too. And this button I'm just going to rename to back as well, just so we know what it is when we're in the graph. And then I'm just going to stick this like down here or something. We can size that however we want now. Okay, so now I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do a border. I'm going to throw that border on the canvas panel. It's going to be white by default. We're just going to drag it in the middle. I'm going to make it something like this. This is kind of how I want my video options set up. I'm going to change that to a black and do maybe 0.5 for an alpha. And I think that'll be pretty good. So I'm just going to anchor that to the center now. So shift control, click the center, and I might drop that down a little bit. Well, maybe something like that. And then we're going to put our video options inside there. So inside this border now, because the border can only have one thing inside of it. So inside of this border, I'm going to put a vertical box. Okay, so that's going to let me stack things on top of each other. Now, inside of that, I'm going to do like 3 horizontal boxes, I think. So I'm just going to put one in first. We're going to set one up, and then we'll be able to copy it. So I'm going to look for horizontal box. Put that in the vertical box. And now I'm going to rename this to, this is going to be for the resolution. So I'm going to rename this just so I know what it is here. I'm just going to say res box. Okay, and you can see it's just a sliver at the top here, but it gives us a horizontal box in here. So now inside that horizontal box, we're going to need text. So put that in the resolution box. Now I'm going to get a button. We're going to put a button in the resolution box. I'm going to copy this text right here, and we're going to paste it in the button. Then I'm going to paste another text onto the resolution box. So that should go under our button. I'm just going to close that to make it a little less confusing. So we have text, button, text, and we're going to put another button. So I'm going to copy this button and paste it in the resolution box. Okay, so we have our horizontal box here, which is our resolution box. We have text, button, text, button. And in each button, we should have text as well. So that's how we're going to set this up. So the first text block we have, I'm going to name that to resolution. And then this first button that we have here, I'm going to rename this before this gets confusing. I'm just going to call this res space minus. And then the text for that, I'm going to just pick this little left arrow here. Then the text in the middle, I'm going to just make it say default. And that's going to be if nothing's loaded in here. That's what we're going to see. I'll kind of explain how this works after I set one of these up. So that text is going to say default in the middle here. Now the next button, we're going to rename this to say res space plus. And then the text that's in that button, we're going to do the right arrow. Okay, now I'm going to go to the text resolution, okay, which is this first one here. You can just click on that resolution, and I'm going to do fill for that. And that's going to push this stuff down to the end here. Now I'm going to click on this default text here, and I'm going to give that left and right padding. So I'm going to let's try 20. Might be too much, but we'll see. No, actually that looks good. That looks good. So you can kind of see what's going to happen here. So we're going to have our resolution. This will display our resolution. Okay. And then left will cycle down through our resolutions, and right will cycle up through our resolutions. So we can have default at maybe 1080 and then go down to 720, go up to 1440, go up to 4K if we want. So that's kind of how I'm going to set this up. Once you click something, we're going to have an apply button here. So once you apply it, it will apply whatever resolution is in there. And that's how we're going to kind of set this up. Now, these left and right buttons here, you can do whatever you want to do with these. If you like the look of the button, you can keep the button how it is, change the color, do whatever you want with it. You can also come into the button if you want to, and you can take the alpha down on it. If you drop the alpha to 0, it gets rid of the button, but the button's still there. So you would just be coming up, clicking on that arrow, basically. Doing it this way, it depends if you want to see that button there or not. I'm gonna hide them. So I'm actually gonna select both of those buttons, and I'm gonna go into the tint, and we'll redrop the alpha down. So I'm gonna do this for the normal, for the hovered, and for the pressed. And just play around with it. Make it however you want to make it. I kind of like how that's set up there, just for a quick basic kind of demo here. Now, if I close this resolution box, because I think we got everything set up in here, our buttons are going to be is variable. The text should be set up as, no, we didn't change that yet. So we're going to set the text to non-hit testable for the arrows. If we have to come back in here and tweak anything, we can do that. But I think we're pretty good here. So now I can close that resolution box, highlight it, Control C to copy it, and we can paste another one in. And then I'm going to just paste another one in too. Okay, there we go. So I have 3 resolution boxes now. So this next resolution box, I'm going to rename before I get messed up with it here. And this, I'm just going to call this GFX box. And then this one will be my VSync box. And then we're just going to rename the stuff in here too. So that the text will say graphics, the button. This is important too. We need to rename these buttons. So this is going to be GFX minus. The arrow will be the same. Default will be the same. The other button will be GFX plus. That text will be the same. Okay, so that should be done. Now we're going to go into VSync, change the name of that to VSync, change the button name, VSync minus, and VSync plus. So I think that's going to work. I think everything should be set up there. Now I want to kind of fix this here because this is everything's squished up to the top here and everything. I do want to add another button in here too. So I'm going to take this back button we made. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste one in the vertical box. And this is going to be for apply. So I'm going to go up here and rename that text. Let's rename the button first and we'll say apply. And then we'll rename this text to apply. Okay, now I don't want that button stretched out like that. And then I'm going to come up to padding and I'm going to do something like left and right padding. I'm going to do like maybe 200. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's actually not bad. I'll leave it like that for now. Okay, so now in this vertical box here, we're going to select the resolution box, graphic box, VSync box, and we'll select the apply, and I'm going to do fill. And that's going to fill us up here. Now, there's a couple things we got to change, but I need some spacing in here. I want spacing in between all that. So I'm going to go to, let's see, I'm going to go to our 3 buttons. I think I'm going to leave the apply there for now. Let's just do our 3 buttons. And I'm going to put, let's just try 10. Yeah, that's not bad. I'm going to do 10 on the bottom on the apply, I think. So we'll do something like that maybe. Now you can see that the text itself isn't really centered here. So I want to fix that too. So I'm going to open up these 3 buttons. I'm going to select the text and the default here. We're going to do align on middle. Well, we can just click these. We'll just select all these. And we'll also set those to middle. So that looks better there. I think I'm going to do something like this. So then if you want to take this idea and change it up, do however you want to do, you can break up your graphic settings if you want. You know, so you can do like your shadow quality, your reflection quality, your texture quality, like you can do all that stuff, global illumination. You can have all those things separately if you want. But for the sake of this, I mean, that would take me a lot longer than I want to make in a video or two, and just play around with it, you know, get it looking however you want. So I'm going to compile this, save it. We'll get this to be displayed. I'm not going to set up any of the settings yet, but let's see if we can get this to get displayed and we'll get the back button going. We're going to have to go into our main menu and our pause menu. And that stuff should be pretty easy. I'm going to jump into the main menu because now we're going to hook up our options button here. So I'm going to jump into the graph here and we're going to grab that options button up here and then scroll down, get our on clicked event. So when we click options, all we're going to do is create widget. And I'm going to select that WBP options. And then we're going to drag off to add to viewport. And then we're going to remove, because we're in our main menu right now, so we want to remove from parent. And I think we're going to put the delay in here too. We'll see how that works with the delay, and then if we don't like it, I'll take it out. But I think playing that sound that I'm playing, I think it's going to get cut off if I don't have the delay in here. We'll just try that and see how that's going to work. So from our main menu, we should be able to get into our options widget. So I'm going to compile, save that. And then from our pause menu, we should be doing the same thing here. So what I'm going to do is actually just going to copy all this right here. Go into our pause menu, go into our graph, get our options on clicked event. We'll paste this in here and we should be good to go. So now in our options here, the only thing we're going to do right now is just set up this back button. So we're going to go into the graph. I'm going to get rid of all this for now. If we need any of that, I'll bring it back out. We're going to pick the back button on clicked. And now this is where we have to determine if we're in our main menu or if we're in our pause menu. Because depending which menu we're in, when we click back, we want that to go to whatever menu we were in. So the easiest way to do this is I'm going to put a branch in here. We can just right click and look for is game paused. And we can use this right here. Because if we're playing our game and we're in our pause menu, then our game is paused. So if our game is paused, then we know to go back to our pause menu. If our game is not paused, then that means we're in our main menu and we can go back to our main menu here. So this should work good for us here. So if game is paused, when we click back, we're going to create our pause menu. And I'm just going to do the create widget here. So I'm going to do WBP, and so if game is paused, this is our pause. So we're going to do that. We're going to add to viewport, and we're going to remove from parent. So that should take us back to our pause menu. And then I'm just going to copy this, and we're going to throw it down here and just change the widget to our WBP menu. So now when we click back, it's going to check is the game paused. If the game was paused, then we're going to go into our pause menu, add to viewport, and remove this from parent. If the game was not paused, we're going into main menu, add to viewport, remove from parent. So let's try it out. Jump into our game now. We'll pause, go to options. We get the little delay, and then we're in our options menu. So now apply won't do anything. None of this will do anything. And then if we go back, we're back into our pause menu. So now we'll jump into the main menu and go to options from here. And there we go. We're in our options. We go back and it takes us to our main menu. I do just want to add that little pause in. And I think a second might be a little too much for the other delays. So I might actually take them down to a half a second to a delay. And I'll do 0.5 there. So when we click back, we'll get a 0.5 delay. I'm going to change the delay in these to 0.5. Do the same thing for my pause menu. Second works good, but I think 0.5 might work a little better. So let's try that now. We jump in, pause. Let's go resume. Yeah, we get the little delay there. And it might depend on your sound too. If you have a really quick sound and you don't want the delay, then you don't have to have that. But that's just going to give me a slight delay here. All right, so I think that's all we're going to do this time. Next time, we'll set up the functionality for our buttons. So next time, I think we'll handle doing that. And then we should have a pretty well set up menu here. So I think that's going to be it for now. So thanks for watching and see you next time.